Yo, what is up? It's this channel's first ever NFL mock draft. I'm only going to do one round for my first ever one, just dip my foot in the pool. But yeah, let's get straight into it. So, with the first overall pick, I think the Jags can go two ways. I think they can go offensive lineman to help Trevor Lawrence, but I'm going to go the other way. And I'm going to pick the best player on the board, number one overall, and it's Aiden Hutchinson. We all know how good this guy is. He dominated this season at Michigan, took over games, and this team needs a franchise piece and a changer on the defensive side. So I know they need to protect Trevor Lawrence, but when the talent is just this good, you can't pass it up at one overall. At two, I'm going to go with a pick that I think Lions fans might not like and is a bit of a surpriser. But I'm going to go Ikem Ekwonu, who I think is a guard in the NFL, a dominant one. I know the Lions have a good offensive line. They drafted Penei Sewell last year. He was dominant at right tackle, a mauler. But I checked the guards on PFF, and I know PFF's not the Bible. You know, a lot of people don't like PFF, but they didn't grade out too high. And I just think you can never have a dominant enough offensive line. And to be honest, I don't think this team's going to be picking anywhere different next year. I think they'll be in the same spot. And when we bring in Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, you want the O line to already be dominant and protect them. Maybe the best O line in the league down the line. And plus, I think there's somewhat of a talent drop off. And just because Aiden Hutchinson's gone, don't reach for another pick. Just go with the best player. And I think Ikem Ekwonu is a top three talent. At three, I have the Texans going with Evan Neal, a bookend to Laramie Tunsil. I think they should hold on to Laramie Tunsil. Offensive tackles are just too valuable to teams. And like the Lions, I think they'll be picking in the same spot. So let's get enough dominant offensive line for CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. At four, even though it might be a reach positional value wise, I'm going to have them take Kyle Hamilton. This guy's probably the best safety prospect since Derwin James. I mean, he's not even a safety. This guy's a football player. He flies around, he can cover, he can thump, and he's a franchise cornerstone that the Jets need in the secondary. At five, I'm going to have the Giants take Kayvon Thibodeau. I know some people are questioning his character, and he's dropped because of that. But at five, I just think there's too much talent to pass up on, and the Giants need defensive line help, or at least edge help. At six, personally, I think this is going to be a reach, but Matt Rhule is coaching for his job, so he needs a splash quarterback, and Malik Willis is the highest upside quarterback in this draft. He's got the biggest arm. He's the quickest. So Matt Rhule is coaching for his job. Something needs to change. You can't go with Sam. You can't run it back with Sam Darnold in 2022. So Malik Willis is the pick at six for the Panthers. At seven, this guy's been shooting up draft boards, and I'm going to go Trevor Penning. They've recently in free agency signed, I think, John Feliciano and Mark Glowinski, but let's get the right tackle situated and get the line solidified. This dude's a mauler. This guy's great for culture change. They have Will Hernandez, who's kind of a, I don't want to say does the dirty work, but he's a little chippy. So let's get someone next to him. Let's get a dominant O-line for Daniel Jones or whoever's going to be quarterbacking that team in the future. At eight, I'm going to go with Ahmad Gardner to the Falcons. This is a pick that everyone's doing, but it just makes too much sense when you have a dominant shutdown corner like AJ Terrell. Just get another one on the other side. And in 2 years, I'd bet that would be the best cornerback tandem in the league. At nine, I think the Seahawks can go a lot of ways. They might be in the market for Deshaun Watson, so this pick might not be theirs. Same with the Panthers, but I'm going to have them go Derek Stingley. Like Thibodeau, there's a lot of people questioning his football character, but I just think the talent's there. And he's been good the past 2 years. It's just he's been injured, and it hasn't been as good as the freshman year. But I just think there's too much talent there to pass up at nine. At 10, I'm going to have the Jets go with Trayvon Walker. I forgot which Lawson the Jets cut at edge, but Trayvon Walker might be the highest upside guy in this draft. I think he played linebacker at Georgia, defensive tackle, edge. You could put him anywhere. He might be a bit of a project, but I just think the talent's too good at 10 as well. And you have two dominant defenders in Kyle Hamilton and Trayvon Walker. So the defense immediately turns around. At 11, I'm going to have the Washington Commanders go Drake London. I just think that this guy is the best receiver prospect in the class, and no one's talking like he is. This dude is, I basically think this guy's Mike Evans. And I've seen people say he's slow and question his route running. But if you watch the games, this guy is great footwork, and he's not just a jump ball guy. And in Indy, who was Carson Wentz security blanket? Michael Pittman. I basically think Drake London is a better all around player than Michael Pittman. It's basically Michael Pittman, but better. At 12, I'm going to have the Vikings go Tyler Linderbaum. I know they don't like Garrett Bradbury, who's, I guess, the same dimensional wise or size wise to Linderbaum, but Linderbaum plays above his strength, plays above his size, great technique. He might be a top 5 prospect in the class, but he's going to drop because he's a center. But you don't pass up on someone this good. At 13, the Browns recently fleeced my Cowboys with the Amari Cooper deal. So let's get someone that can line up next to him in the slot or on the other side of the boundary, and Garrett Wilson. This guy may be the top prospect in the class receiver wise, not mine, but this guy's quick. He blew it up at the combine with the 40 time, sudden with his routes, vertical. This guy's a playmaker after the catch. Perfect person to put next to Amari. And let's not give Baker any excuses. At 14, I'm going to go Jordan Davis to the sorry, not the Bengals. I bet Ravens fans didn't like that. But I'm going to have Jordan Davis go to the Ravens at 14. I'm confused with Jordan Davis, not with him, but this guy was a high prospect before the combine, and then he dropped. But then after the combine, he skyrocketed again. Like if you watch Georgia games, you knew this guy was a crazy athlete the whole time. He commands double teams, makes everyone around him better. And I think he does have some pass rushing upside. I think he's quick for his size. And Calais Campbell, he's getting up there. I don't know if they're going to bring him back. So Jordan Davis just makes sense at 14 to the Ravens. At 15, I'm going to have the Eagles go Zion Johnson or replace Brandon Brooks. They love having a good line in Philly. They never like having holes in it. And Zion Johnson has just skyrocketed ever since the college season ended. He killed it at the Senior Bowl, killed it at the Combine, and the Eagles get a dominant guard right away. Just continue the dominance there in Philly. At 16, I'm going to have them go Chris Olave, who I think is being slept on or was being slept on, maybe not now, but he blew it up at the Combine too at the 40. I think he was quicker than 4.39. I just think the 40 time was all off at the Combine. I think this guy did run his 4.26, and he runs great routes too. The Jalen Reagor experiment's probably failed, so let's not only get a guy that can run the deep ball better, but he's a better route runner. At 17, the Chargers are going to go Kenyon Green. They've been killing it in free agency, and I just saw they cut Brian Bulaga, but we saw in that Week 18 game, they were getting killed by Max Crosby. That that right side of the O-line was getting killed. So let's just make this Chargers O-line even more dominant. This team's probably in my top 3 Super Bowl contenders. Justin Herbert's on his rookie contract. Let's keep him upright. Let's get this O-line situated to help him with his weapons. At 18, I'm going to have the Saints go Charles Cross. I know some people are higher on him than others. He's not for everybody, but Teron Armstead's a free agent. And at 18, I think an offensive tackle this good is just too good to pass up. At 19, I'm going to have the Eagles make the first trade of my mock draft, and they're going to be sending the 19th overall pick to the Bills in exchange for 25 and 129. Maybe that isn't enough to make this trade, but the PFN's weird with their value. So I'm going to have the Bills at 19 go Jameson Williams. I think Josh Allen has the argument for the best deep ball in the draft. Jameson Williams is the best deep ball guy in the draft. And I feel whenever the Bills play their arch nemesis, the Chiefs, in the playoffs, they're always 1 second too late behind the finish line. They're always finishing 1 second last. And I just think to keep up, you give Josh Allen someone that the Chiefs DBs aren't going to be able to keep up with. So I think it just makes too much sense at 19. This is great value, even though he tore his ACL. At 20, the board did not fall the way I think Pittsburgh is going to want it to. I think they need O-lineman help, but to replace Mike Hilton, let's get a guy who I think is being slept on a bit. Trent McDuffie, great athleticism. Even though he plays slot, this guy is a thumper. This guy covers. And I think this is a guy that fits the Pittsburgh culture. At 21, I'm surprised that the Patriots didn't re-sign JC Jackson. I thought the contract he got for the Chargers was a steal when the Chargers in, but I'm going to have them go someone that I think's being slept. He might be the most underrated prospect in the first round for me. Kaiir Elam. This guy was shut down at Florida. He gets up in your face. He's long. He's quick. He's pretty tall. And I just think he's got the tools that Bill Belichick's going to want to mold this next lockdown corner. At 22, I'm going to have the Raiders go Treylon Burks. They have Hunter Renfrow, who's arguably a wide receiver one, but they need more help to keep up in the division now. I think Treylon Burks fell a bit because of his 40 time. I think he disappointed some people, but this guy's quick on tape. He runs away from people. And in the screen game, if you miss and he breaks a tackle, he's gone. So at 23, I'm going to have the Cardinals go George Karlaftis. I think this is a steal personally, but I've seen some people really high on him and others really low. I think Chandler Jones is probably gone, and you can't rely on J.J. Watt at this point. So let's get a dominant edge. I know the sack numbers weren't there at Purdue, but this guy was demanding double teams, triple teams. This guy basically was the Purdue defense, in my opinion. So let's just get a dominant edge rusher to be the heir apparent to J.J. Watt. At 24, this is also a popular pick, but I love this guy, Nakobe Dean. I know he's undersized for some people, but I just think the intellect he brings to this game is crazy. That's his best attribute. And I think that's what the Cowboys defense needs personally. I'm a Cowboys fan, like I said before, and a lot of times during the season, I felt like the defense wasn't set, or they got set right before the ball was snapped, which is a sign of not knowing your assignment. And I think Nakobe Dean will be the commander, or at least a leader on this team. Micah Parsons is the emotional leader, and he brings a great attitude, but I still think this team needs someone in charge on the field. And Nakobe Dean got all his teammates in line at Georgia, and I think that would be a great attribute or an asset to the Cowboys defense. At 25, the Eagles still get their guy, David Ojabo. They need Brandon Graham's getting up there, but I'm pretty sure he's coming back. So they get another Michigan defensive edge. And early on in his career, they can bring him in as like a blitzer pass rusher guy. And once he's ready to take over for Brandon Graham, he can play full-time edge. At 26, I do not think the Titans should go QB. I've seen some people do that, but at this point, I don't think there's anyone worth sitting behind Ryan Tannehill. I just run it back with Tannehill. So I'm going to have him go best player available with Devin Lloyd. This guy's a thumper. I think Vrabel's going to like him. He can cover. And I just think this team needs to add more talent because I think they've been stuck in neutral for a while now. At 27, they recently brought back Brady, but I'm going to have them take someone on the defensive side. I'm going to have them take Devontae Wyatt. This guy's been skyrocketing up boards too. This dude's huge. This guy's like the perfect best of both worlds. He's big, but he's also quick. He'd be a great asset next to Vita Vea. He can help stop the run, but he also offers a little more pass rushing than I think Vita Vea does. And I just think this whole defensive line needs to get younger. At 28, I'm going to have the Packers go Jermaine Johnson. They recently cut Zadarius Smith, so they need some edge help. And I just think this guy, I think he's dropped a bit since the Senior Bowl happened. This guy was a Senior Bowl darling, but this guy is great character. Just look at his story. He can play linebacker, edge. I just think this is good value at this point. I know they could take receiver, but I think all the first round receivers are off the board. At 29, I'm going to have another trade. I'm going to have the Dolphins trade with the Saints. And the Dolphins are going to send their 29th overall pick to the Saints for the 49th and a third in next year's 2023 draft. Maybe the Dolphins are going to want more for this, but with this pick, I'm going to have the Saints take Kenny Pickett. I think this is great value at this point. I've heard that they might run it back with Jameis, but personally, I think that's a lateral move. Let's get a guy who has potential QB1 attributes. They've got weapons in New Orleans. You got Charles Cross to protect them. I just think this is good value here. Let's not go older with Jameis. Let's hit for a potential future quarterback franchise QB. At 30, I'm gonna have the Chiefs take Daxton Hill. I've also seen some people mock this one, but it just makes too much sense, especially if they lose Tyrann Mathieu. I keep forgetting the name of the safety that always gets cooked for the Chiefs, but I think this defensive back end needs to get faster. They were getting cooked by Jamar Chase. They couldn't keep up with that 4.3 speed. Let's get a guy that can keep up, great coverage, also plays slot, corner, nickel, versatile, will thump. I think it's a good value pick at 30. At 31, I'm gonna have the Bengals go Andrew Booth. He's slipped a bit, I think. I think some people aren't sold on him being 100% a hit, but at 31, I just think the value is too good. And you can't go into next season with Eli Apple. Like, I know people joke about him, but in all seriousness, let's go for a guy that has potential CB1 attributes. And 32, I went offensive lineman with their second overall pick. Some people might not like that, but at 32, I'm gonna have them take a defender, and I'm gonna have them take Jaquan Brisker. I think this guy slipped a bit because of his age, and maybe some people don't think he has that many special attributes, but he's versatile. I think he does everything well. He's solid, and that's what you want in a safety. And I think they need safety help in Detroit. So I think Jaquan Brisker is a good pick at 32. So that's my first ever mock draft. I appreciate y'all watching. And by the way, if there's a pick I made for your team that you don't like, tell me in the comments what you do like, because I don't watch all these teams religiously. So just help me out there. And see y'all next time.